Imagine waking up one day with the unsettling realization that the life you've been living might not be your own. Every choice you've made, every belief you hold dear, and even the dreams you chase. What if they were shaped by forces outside of you? Society's expectations, your upbringing, and subtle conditioning weaving together a version of yourself that feels familiar, but not entirely real. Pause for a second. How much of who you are is truly you? And how much is a mask carefully crafted to fit into the world around you? Most people don't realize they are living according to a script, one handed to them before they could even question it. You might feel like you're simply playing a role, reacting to life based on what you've been told is right or normal, never stopping to ask, is this me? Today we step into one of Carl Jung's most powerful insights. Life doesn't truly begin until you find yourself. But this isn't just about becoming more self-aware or reading a few motivational quotes. Jung believed that behind the surface-level idea of finding yourself lies a much deeper and more transformative journey. In the next few minutes, we'll uncover why most people never truly discover who they are, why they stay trapped behind invisible barriers, and how you can begin to break free. What you're about to learn could shift not only how you see yourself, but how you experience your entire life. Carl Jung wasn't your typical psychologist. While many of his peers focused on adjusting people to fit into society, Jung took a different path, one that dove deep beneath the surface of the human mind. Born in Switzerland in 1875, Jung grew up surrounded by religion, mysticism, and scientific curiosity. This unique background fueled his fascination with the hidden forces that shape human behavior. As he advanced in his career, Jung broke away from the dominant theories of his time, including those of Sigmund Freud, to forge his own groundbreaking approach to psychology. Jung called this approach analytical psychology. At its core was a radical idea. True psychological health is not about conforming to the expectations of others. It's about individuation, the lifelong journey of discovering and integrating every part of yourself to become whole. You see, Jung understood that most people live in a kind of trance. We move through life following rules, norms, and patterns inherited from society, family, and culture. But buried beneath these layers is something far more powerful: the authentic self, the version of you that exists beyond conditioning and social masks. For Jung, this authentic self wasn't just a philosophical idea. It was the very key to living a fulfilled and meaningful life. He believed that life only truly begins when we embark on the inner quest to meet this deeper version of ourselves. But if it's so important, why do so many of us avoid this journey? Why do we cling to roles and identities that don't reflect who we really are? To answer that, we need to explore the first obstacle Jung identified: the persona, the mask we wear to survive and succeed in the world. From the moment we are born, we are taught how to fit into the world around us. We learn what is acceptable and what is not, what will earn us praise, and what might bring rejection or shame. Over time, these lessons shape the image we present to the world. Jung called this image the persona. The persona is the mask we wear every day. It helps us navigate society, find belonging, and build relationships. Without it, functioning in the world would be difficult. It's the polite version of yourself at work, the responsible adult at family gatherings, the agreeable friend who avoids conflict. But here's the catch. The more we rely on the persona, the more disconnected we can become from our real selves. Imagine for a moment that you've spent years building a mask so perfect that even you begin to believe it's who you really are. You might feel successful, admired, or accepted, but deep down, there's a quiet discomfort, an inner voice whispering that something is missing. Jung warned that when we over-identify with the persona, we risk living a life that feels hollow. The mask might protect us from rejection or judgment, but it also prevents us from expressing our full, authentic selves. Think back to your childhood. Were there moments when you showed vulnerability or creativity, only to be told to toughen up, be realistic, or quiet down? Those early experiences often teach us to hide parts of who we are in order to fit in. Slowly but surely, the persona becomes our shield. But behind that shield, hidden from view, lies the part of us that Jung believed holds immense power. The part we fear, deny, and push into the shadows. To truly find ourselves, Jung said, we must take a courageous step. We must turn and face the parts of us we've hidden away. If the persona is the mask we wear, then the shadow is everything we hide behind it. According to Jung, the shadow is made up of the parts of ourselves we've rejected, our fears, insecurities, suppressed desires, and even our hidden strengths. It's all the aspects of our personality we've pushed into the dark because we've been taught they are unacceptable or uncomfortable. But here's the thing. The shadow never really disappears. Even if we bury it deep, it continues to influence us, often without us realizing it. It leaks out in moments of anger, envy, judgment, and self-sabotage. It shows up when you overreact to criticism or when you can't stand certain traits in other people. Jung called this projection, when we unconsciously see in others the very qualities we've disowned in ourselves. Have you ever felt an intense dislike for someone, even though you couldn't explain why? Or been triggered by a comment that hit a nerve you didn't know you had? Jung would say that's the shadow at work. The danger lies in ignoring this hidden side of ourselves. When left unchecked, the shadow quietly controls our choices, relationships, and emotional well-being. It creates inner conflict, making us feel like we're constantly battling with ourselves. But Jung believed that within the shadow also lies a hidden treasure, a reservoir of personal power, creativity, and authenticity waiting to be reclaimed. The parts of ourselves we've cast away hold valuable lessons and insights about who we really are. Facing the shadow isn't easy. It means sitting with discomfort, admitting to yourself that you have unresolved fears or unspoken desires. It's about being brutally honest with yourself. But Jung saw this confrontation as a turning point, the doorway to real transformation. The question is, are you willing to turn toward the shadow and see what it has to teach you? Because until you do, you'll never truly know the full depths of your own potential. So, what happens after you face the shadow? According to Jung, this is where the real magic begins. The goal is not to defeat the shadow or pretend it doesn't exist. It's to integrate it. Integration is the process of acknowledging, accepting, and weaving the hidden parts of yourself back into your conscious identity. It's about seeing your fears, insecurities, and repressed desires not as enemies, but as messengers. Each shadow aspect carries valuable information about your past wounds, your unmet needs, and the authentic traits you've been denying. When you begin this process, you unlock what Jung called the path to wholeness. Let's be clear, it's uncomfortable at first. Most people spend years, sometimes decades, avoiding this kind of inner work. Why? Because integrating the shadow means sitting with emotions you've been running from. Guilt, shame, fear, sadness, even rage. It's far easier to distract ourselves with work, entertainment, or social media than to face these buried feelings. But Jung taught that the discomfort is temporary. Once you acknowledge these parts and understand where they come from, you rob them of their power to unconsciously control your life. Imagine breaking free from self-sabotage patterns or ending the cycle of toxic relationships. Picture being able to express yourself fully, without the fear of rejection or failure holding you back. That's the gift of integration. It's not about becoming perfect or eliminating all negative emotions. It's about becoming whole, embracing your full humanity, both the light and the dark. As you integrate the shadow, something profound happens. Your authentic self begins to emerge. You gain clarity on what you truly want, how you really feel, and what drives your decisions. You step into a version of yourself that is stronger, more self-aware, and aligned with your deeper values. This is what Jung meant when he said, "Life begins when you find yourself." True life starts when you stop running from yourself and instead step fully into who you are. As you go deeper into Jung's world, you'll find that the shadow and persona are just part of a much larger internal landscape. Jung believed that inside each of us live ancient patterns of behavior and emotion. He called them archetypes. Archetypes are universal symbols or energies shared by all human beings. They aren't just ideas. They show up in myths, dreams, stories, and even in everyday life. You've encountered them before: the hero, the mentor, the trickster, the innocent child. These aren't just characters in movies and fairy tales. They are psychological forces that influence your thoughts, decisions, and how you see the world. Jung believed these archetypes come from what he called the collective unconscious, a deep layer of the psyche that we all inherit as human beings, regardless of culture or background. It's like a shared database of human experience, passed down through generations. One of the most powerful archetypal dynamics is the battle between the hero and the shadow. The hero is the part of you that longs to grow, to face challenges, and to fulfill your highest potential. But every hero must face a shadow, a dragon to slay, a dark cave to enter, or an inner fear to overcome. This archetypal battle happens inside all of us. Have you ever felt like part of you wants to take bold action, but another part holds you back with fear or doubt? That's the hero-shadow tension playing out in real life. Jung also identified other key archetypes, such as the anima and animus, the feminine side within men, and the masculine side within women. These aren't about gender roles, but about balancing the yin and yang energies inside us all. The anima is tied to intuition, creativity, and emotion, while the animus is connected to logic, structure, and assertiveness. When these archetypal forces are out of balance, inner conflict arises. But when we integrate them, when we accept both our softer and stronger sides, we move closer to psychological wholeness. Recognizing these archetypes within you is like unlocking a hidden map of your own psyche. After uncovering the persona, the shadow, and the archetypes, Jung took us even deeper, into what he called the ultimate illusion, the belief in a fixed and unchanging self. Most people move through life convinced that they know exactly who they are. They define themselves by their name, job, background, and personal history. But Jung challenged this idea. He believed that the version of yourself you cling to is just a small part of a much larger, more fluid reality. The ego, the voice in your head that says this is who I am, is only a fragment. It's the gatekeeper of your conscious mind, but it's also what creates separation, walls, and limitations. The ego craves certainty and identity. It loves labels like I am shy, I am strong, or I am broken. But what if you're more than any label could describe? Jung taught that beneath the ego lies the self, a deeper, more expansive part of your being that holds all your potential, creativity, wisdom, and connection to something larger than yourself. The self is not bound by your fears, insecurities, or even your past. It's an evolving, limitless field of consciousness. The realization that your identity is fluid, not fixed, can feel both freeing and unsettling. It means that you're never stuck. It also means you are not limited to the roles, patterns, or stories you've been telling yourself. This is the deeper journey Jung invites us on, to stop clinging to a false sense of self and to open up to the vast, dynamic reality of who we could become. But how do we actually step beyond this illusion in daily life? That's where Jung's practical path to individuation comes in. So how do you begin this journey Jung spoke of? The journey to find your true self. The first step is awareness. You must start noticing the patterns in your thoughts, your emotional triggers, and your automatic reactions. When you catch yourself seeking approval, avoiding discomfort, or falling into old habits, pause and ask, where is this coming from? Is this truly me, or is it conditioning at work? Next, Jung encouraged embracing the unknown. Growth happens in the uncomfortable places, the silence, the uncertainty, and the questions we'd rather avoid. Lean into those moments with curiosity, not fear. Third, listen to your unconscious mind. Your dreams, gut feelings, and flashes of intuition aren't random. They are signals from the deeper self, nudging you toward healing and wholeness. Keep a dream journal, explore creative outlets, or simply spend time reflecting in solitude. Finally, Let go of rigid identities. You are not just your job, your past mistakes, or your societal role. You are a dynamic being capable of evolution. Jung called this lifelong process individuation, becoming whole by integrating all parts of yourself, including the shadow and the archetypes. This is where real freedom begins. Carl Jung's message is clear. Life doesn't truly begin until you find yourself. Beyond the masks, beyond the fears, and beyond the roles you've been playing lies the real you, the self that has been waiting to be rediscovered. Most people live as strangers to themselves, but you don't have to. The path is challenging, but it's also deeply rewarding. As you begin integrating your shadow, embracing archetypes, and stepping beyond the illusion of a fixed identity, you open the door to a life filled with authenticity, purpose, and inner freedom. The journey starts now, within you.